Hey class, my name is Jonathan Leonard and I'm a corporate pilot out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and I currently fly a King Air B200 for Golden Corral. Golden Corral is a restaurant company. They have buffet restaurants all over the U.S., probably about 500 of them. And they're a really great company to work for. They're very family oriented and they treat their employees just like their family. And I really can't say enough great things about working for Golden Corral. The King Air 200 is a turboprop aircraft capable of carrying 9 passengers at speeds of up to 280 knots true airspeed, and we typically fly around 30,000 feet. Now that probably sounds fast to a lot of people, but it's actually relatively slow compared to other aircraft. But the King Air is still a great airplane. I started this degree back in 2002, and it was called Professional Aeronautics back then. And now I'm only 3 classes shy of completing my BS in aeronautics. So after these 2 classes, all I will have left is my capstone, which I hope to complete in the January term. I also have an associate's in aviation management and career pilot technology from Lenore Community College in North Carolina. I also have an associate's degree from Embry-Riddle in aeronautics that I just completed a couple months ago. I have been flying professionally now for almost 15 years, so I've racked up a few certifications along the way. I currently have an airline transport pilot license with Learjet and Citation type ratings and an SIC type rating in the Citation 650 class. I also have all the flight instructor ratings that include CFI, CFII, which is an instrument instructor, and an MEI, which is a multi-engine instructor. I also recently acquired the remote pilot certification to fly some small unmanned aircraft system. When I first started out flying, I had to build hours like most pilots to get a decent job, so I started out flying as a flight instructor. The flight school that I worked for also had a fire patrol contract, so we would fly around for about 8 hours a day just looking for smoke, and it was a great way to build time. After that, I was flying a corporate jet out of New Bern, North Carolina. It was a Citation Bravo. I went and got type rated on that, which also gave me my airline transport pilot license. And then I did that for a couple years, and then I went to Raleigh and was flying organ transplant flights for Duke and UNC, as well as patient medevac flights. Now that I strictly fly Part 91, which means I fly for just an individual or just one company, I get a lot of time with my family, which is the best thing that I like about flying Part 91. So we have lots of times to plan trips to the lake or to the beach or take little small vacations. It also helps that my wife is a teacher, so she gets the summers off, and so when my kids are out of school, we can all go somewhere together. My wife Amy and I got married back in 2008, and we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. So now we have 3 kids, Ethan, Jackson, and Taylor, and a dachshund named Sadie. We currently live in Liberty, North Carolina, which is right in the middle of the state of North Carolina. Ethan is our oldest son. He just turned 6 years old October 1st, and he just started kindergarten this year. He likes doing art, playing t-ball, and we just signed him up for basketball this fall. Was his zombie costume last year, and this year he's going to be a ninja. Jackson is our youngest son. He is 3 years old, and he will be 4 years old in January. He had a really rough start. He was a preemie. He was born at 30 weeks, and he spent his first 3.5 months of his life in a hospital. He had a collapsed lung, was on a ventilator, but he pulled through, and you would never know it if I hadn't have told you. My wife and I welcomed Taylor May into the world this past March. She was a huge surprise. She was the first child that we waited to find out the gender of, and it was worth it. She's the first girl in our family in 38 years. My sister has 3 boys. We had 2 boys. So my mom has 5 grandsons, and she finally got a granddaughter. Flying is such a cool job because you get to see so many cool things. This was just yesterday. We were flying from Oklahoma City to Vegas, and we flew over the Grand Canyon along the way. We also got to see a couple other cool things. We weren't quite close enough to Winslow, Arizona to see the crater, but we saw the Hoover Dam. It's pretty cool when you can just stop in Vegas and get fuel and grab a bite to eat. That's another one great perk about traveling a lot is you get to try a lot of different foods in a lot of different places, whether it's Memphis barbecue or Chicago pizza or if it's the Juicy Lucy burgers they have up around Minnesota. This is another interesting sight from my office. You can clearly see where one area got a lot of snow and one area didn't get any. And I thought it was very interesting to see how there was such a clear line in between the two. Occasionally we have to see the not so great things too. This picture was taken last year after the Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, and you can see here a whole town completely submerged in floodwaters. Here's another cool sight out of the window. Sometimes the best thing for air traffic control to do to keep you out of the way of arrivals and departures is to fly you right over the airport at a low altitude. So this is us crossing over DFW and getting a really great view of the entire airport. Flying jobs also take you a lot of cool places. Last year we had a trip out to Buffalo, so we decided to drive up to Niagara and check out the falls from the U.S. side, and then we drove over to the Canada side to get the Canada view as well. The Canada side definitely has a better view. We also flew to the Super Bowl this past year up in Minneapolis, and man was it cold. This is a picture of me in front of a river, so you wouldn't be able to tell because it's covered with ice and snow. And the day we left, I think it was 15 below zero. So it was fun getting the engine started on the airplane. Flying for Golden Corral has also been particularly fun. Last year we had our convention up in New York City, so we stayed right downtown in Times Square. The year before that we stayed at Caesar's Palace in Vegas for the convention, and right now I'm in San Francisco at the 2018 convention. And each year they fly my wife out for free. This was a picture I took yesterday as we drove from the Oakland airport to downtown San Francisco, and we crossed over the San Francisco Bay Bridge. I've never seen the Golden Gate Bridge up close, but I hope to do that before I leave, and I also plan on taking a tour of Alcatraz on Tuesday. Another really cool thing that my company did last year when I had to fly on Christmas Eve was they invited my brother to come along and gave us both tickets to a Panthers playoff game, and the tickets were right on the 50-yard line, and it couldn't have been a better time. It's just another cool thing that my company does. We also flew to Chicago last year, so we got to walk around and check out the sights there. We finally found the big uh, reflective kidney bean, as I call it, and we were also able to take in a White Sox game that evening. It's amazing to see how far technology has come in the short 15 years that I have been flying. We've gone from steam gauges to flying glass. The situational awareness is so much better now that everything can be overlaid. You can look at one screen and see traffic, terrain, radar, your current position, your speed, your altitude, your attitude, just by glancing at one screen. And I know the longer I'm in aviation, the safer it'll get. The ability to access real-time weather from the cockpit is the most significant safety enhancement to aviation I think technology has brought about. When I first started flying, you had to call a weather briefer, and by the time you planned out your flight and got in the airplane, the weather had changed. This picture is a great example of how this new technology is enhancing safety. With this new XM radar, we can see significant weather like Hurricane Michael just a couple weeks ago. We can see this significant weather and avoid it entirely. Hopefully in the near future we will be purchasing an aircraft similar to this. This is a CJ4. It's also a Citation, capable of flying at speeds of up to 440 knots true airspeed, and also having all the technology of the Collins Proline avionics that are in our King Air. So I'm just going to sit here in San Francisco until Wednesday, go tour Alcatraz, go check out the Golden Gate Bridge, eat a lot of good food, flight plan the trip home, which will probably take about 9 hours in the slow airplane. But I look forward to seeing all of your videos and introductions and working with you in this class.